As I covered in previous segments, it appears that individuals, politicians, and media outlets on both sides of the aisle are equally willing to misrepresent reality to the public, and to capitalize on the effects of the beliefs generated by slimy issue marketing. We're all stuck in Plato's cave, listening to the most authoritative voice in the cave telling us what the shadows on the wall really are. Here's a short clip summarizing Plato's allegory of the cave, which I borrowed from the YouTube channel Wisecrack. I've included the link in the credits in the description of this video. I don't claim it as my own.
Imagine a group of people born into a cave, chained by their legs and necks facing the back wall. The only thing they can see are shadows cast by a fire behind them, and since they've never seen the actual objects, they think the shadows are real. But what would happen if one of the prisoners were to be set free? When he turns round and sees the objects, will he know that the shadows are a lesser copy of reality? And when he eventually leaves the cave and sees the sun and nature for the first time, would his mind not be completely blown? After experiencing a higher truth, what would happen if the prisoner returned to the cave? Plato muses that telling the others of the greater reality would threaten their narrow beliefs. If they could, they might even kill him.
As I said, most of us spend our whole lives trapped in the cave, staring at shadows. The ones who have seen the real world often don't know how to convey this new information to the folks still watching the light show. After all, many people might be shocked to hear that their chosen media outlets and politicians are manipulative. Many will even refuse outright to believe that the debunking of falsehoods is true, even if the retraction comes directly from the offending individual or publication. The falsehood about the 17 intelligence agencies confirming that Russia hacked the election is a good example of this. Even though the claim has been withdrawn by major media outlets, albeit very quietly, almost everybody out there still believes it to be true. Even many people who believe that Russia did not interfere in the election still believe that 17 intelligence agencies wrote the report. And yet, even the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, has said on national TV that this was inaccurate.
Additionally, I'll briefly address 4 related topics that have emerged since the ICA was produced. Because of both classification and some executive privilege strictures requested by the White House, there are limits to what I can discuss. And of course, my direct official knowledge of any of this stopped on 20 January when my term of office was happily over. As you know, the IC was a coordinated product from 3 agencies, CIA, NSA, and the FBI, not all 17 components of the intelligence community, those 3, under the aegis of my former office.
This inability to confront reality is a serious problem. What is to be done about these cognitive dissonances? Do we need to bring back the fairness doctrine that Reagan and a bipartisan congressional effort destroyed back in the 80s? Do we need more governmental regulation of news outlets to ensure that they are more honest? Well, that's one possible solution. And it does work to an extent, too. But there's always the legitimate argument, the legitimate question, that the people who oversee the enforcement of the rules can become corrupted. Who watches the watchmen? I personally think that there's a potential solution that is far more personal. It falls to each and every one of us to determine the truth for ourselves. How do we do this? Well, the first step is to keep an open mind and educate ourselves on every issue as much as humanly possible. This is a responsibility that falls on the shoulders of citizens in a democratic country. The second step is to apply a variation of the Socratic method and consult as many different outlets and perspectives as possible on each issue and event. This means watching even the news you disagree with, reading even the papers that frustrate you, and expanding your horizons beyond the border. International news often reports on things and gives perspectives that we almost never see at home. We have to leave the bubble of our echo chamber. We have to leave the bubble of our borders. And then we have to cross-reference everything we read and see to try and figure out what is actually true and what we really believe. We have to find our own truth, even if it doesn't line up with our preconceptions, even if it makes us spectacularly uncomfortable. This isn't an easy thing to do. It's a lot easier to receive the pat on the head or the pat on the back and soak in the affirmation that our preconceptions are correct. It's easy to outsource our critical thinking to talking heads on TV or clever turns of phrase on a piece of paper that make us feel good about ourselves. It's hard to dig in deep to the particulars of any given situation, especially when you're exhausted from working a long shift, going to school, taking care of your kids, cooking dinner, cleaning up after the dog, and so on. Our lives are crammed to the brim, even without politics. But as I said before, we have a duty as citizens of a democratic country to be truly well informed about what is going on and why. If we fail in that duty, our entire country suffers as a result. So folks, please, do your own independent research. Find your own truth. If you enjoyed this production by The State of Opportunity, please like and subscribe. Remember, you're the ones who make this all possible. You can also check out our Facebook page at Opportunity State and follow us on Twitter at @OfByOpportunity. If you feel like chipping in a couple bucks, please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/stateofopportunity. Have a great day, and remember to always keep an open mind.